Here is part 2 of me reacting to the Cleopatra Netflix documentary. Let's go.
The appeal of Cleopatra is that we imagine her, that everyone can imagine her in their own way. I imagine her to have curly hair like me and a similar skin colour.
What? I can imagine her to be East Asian with blue hair, but that doesn't mean it's true.
Has not flooded at the same level. This isn't Cleopatra's fault. Natural occurrences never are.
Open the royal grain stores. Let's get these people fed.
That's what you're supposed to do. Cleopatra was not known for caring much about the poor. She didn't increase or introduce a grain dole like Caesar, for example. Almost anyone, I think, in her position would have done the same, open up the grain silos to simply stop a potential rebellion and to maintain personal power. To put so much virtue on this, such an insignificant happening is honestly astonishing. The helmets are wrong.
There's a civil war going on in Rome. Once again, it's about power. It's two men.
As if she's blaming this on the patriarchy. The same is happening in Egypt, and Cleopatra is partially at fault. Her disregard for the deeply complicated politics of the late Roman Republic and simply blaming it on toxic masculinity belongs on Twitter, not in a documentary.
Julius Caesar, representing the people.
Okay, this is why they brought up Cleopatra's love for the poor earlier. Julius Caesar was for the people. Why the quotation marks? He did way more for his people in his city than Cleopatra ever did. He increased welfare. He distributed land to his soldiers. He also reduced the exploitation of the eastern provinces. It was Caesar who finally got the land reform done, something that started all this civil unrest almost 100 years ago with Tiberius Gracchus. Her ability to sweep all of that under the rug and suggest that it's Cleopatra instead who is the friend of the poor, just because she's a strong black woman, right? I've seen some biased documentaries, but none of them have done it so blatantly and as clumsily as this one.
This forces Cleopatra and Arsinoe to flee.
Alexandria is supposed to be the most beautiful, the most modern city in the world, clad in so much marble. It made Rome look like a shanty town in comparison, but alas, here it looks like a desolate and empty, almost ruined. And am I expected to just believe there's just a single dirt path leading out?
Cleopatra is raised in Alexandria. It's part of her. So being exiled was probably quite a hurtful experience for her, and she would have been looking to return as swiftly as possible.
Being exiled was probably quite hurtful for her. What a great insight. Honestly, what's the point in having this commentator? He's literally said nothing of note. He brings no expertise nor insight. But apparently he has the same curly hair as Cleopatra. Is that why he's in this documentary?
Cleopatra is in Syria for 2 years. In that time, she's able to put together her own army. She has the support of the Egyptian people. She has the support of the people in Syria.
She has the support of the people of Syria. This woman, she's trying really hard to avoid saying that Syria was essentially a client state of Pompey, and Cleopatra simply went there and bought herself some mercenaries. To say that she had the support of the now Roman and until recently the Seleucid ruled people of Syria is such a stretch.
Then we killed Pompey. We're not killing Pompey. It's the easiest way to prove our allegiance to Caesar. We're not killing Caesar's son-in-law.
Well, Julius Caesar's daughter, who was married to Pompey, died in childbirth about 5, I think, years before this point, so they don't really have a connection anymore, and their relationship had been falling apart ever since. And I know that this is good for writing a compelling point, having Cleopatra being everything that her sister and Ptolemy the 13th isn't, and it provides some foreshadowing for later, but this is simply not grounded in history, and it's not how you should write a documentary.
Pompey lands in the back.
Why the hell is she laughing over here? Honestly, what is wrong with her? One of the greatest Romans of all time is about to suffer the most pitiful death.
Cleopatra's this really confident woman with great charisma, and actually she's not bowing down to him. She's kind of shifting the power dynamic.
Julius Caesar is presented with this young woman who is strong, she was intelligent, and she was an African woman who saw herself not only as a ruler, but as a goddess as well. So she would have been very different to any other woman that Julius Caesar would have met in Rome.
The use of the word Africa is a bit anachronistic here. For the Romans, Africa was the province around Carthage, and the continent was known as Libya. And also the patrician women in Rome were starting to become quite what we would call feminist in this day and age. They were becoming braver, they were becoming wealthier and more independent and sexually liberal at this time. And although Caesar may not have met a queen like Cleopatra, he was famous for copulating with the king of Bithynia, Nicomedes IV. So he was very familiar with making love with Greek monarchs. So Cleopatra's not his first.
Unlike Roman women, who traditionally are expected to stay home and not take part in political affairs, Cleopatra was a world leader. And Julius Caesar can speak to her of his military campaigns, of literature, of philosophy, on almost equal terms.
Oh my god. A world leader? Now that's a stretch. She wasn't even yet a ruler of her own kingdom. And they could also talk in speaking terms because they were both rulers schooled under the Hellenized Greek world, which further suggests that she was a Greek. And also, I'll build on to what I said earlier about Caesar not being used to strong women because Roman women tended to stay at home, is a blatant attempt to make Cleopatra's Black Egypt look like a feminist paradise compared to the conservative, patriarchal, colonial Rome. Listen to me, the reason Cleopatra was able to transcend gender norms is not because of feminism, it's simply because she was of royal blood. And also this is made even more disingenuous because at this time of the late Roman Republic, there was a genuine, almost modern feminist movement with the influx of wealth and Rome becoming an almost a genuine metropolitan city, and to the patrician women at the top not needing to prioritize reproduction, there came a new class of the new women who were very educated in Greek philosophy. They dabbled and had genuine political power. Many of them also became quite promiscuous, and there was a decline in family values. They kept up with the latest fashions. They held their own public positions of power. And frankly, this is the best analogy of modern feminism we can find in the ancient world. And meanwhile, this documentary is trying to push the narrative that Ptolemaic Egypt was a feminist paradise compared to Rome. It's absolutely absurd.
One of the greatest losses is the burning of the Library of Alexandria.
And of course, this documentary is going to go all History Channel, just as we thought it couldn't get any worse. Yes, some of it was burnt, but certainly not all of it. And only about 15 years after this event, Mark Antony gave Cleopatra 200,000 scrolls to replenish the library. The Emperor Claudius, 100 years after this period, was also recorded to have built a extension to the library. And modern scholars simply believe that the library didn't get all lost in a catastrophic fire like this one. Rather, its importance and role diminished over hundreds of years during the Roman period as other libraries opened up around the empire and Alexandria simply lost its prominence. Okay, finally, that is the end of the first episode. I'll slowly go through the rest over the next few weeks, sprinkled in with my usual content. If you want to see that, make sure to follow me, and thanks for watching.